Yeah, welcome once again after the tea break. And our next speaker is Mr. Alok Sinha, who is the AVP, General Business Sales and IT Solutions, India and Nepal. Small brief about Alok. He has more than 22 years of experience in the IT and telecom space. And the previous roles, he was the head of grid computing global at IBM, CISO at Bharti and IBM for the telecom space, and head of wireless business for Tata Teleservices. Of course, amongst the various other roles and positions that he has held in the past. And he has the business understanding and which will help make technology deliver that. With Without taking much of your time, I would like Alok to come over and take.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for choosing this venue. There have been other parallel sessions, and the fact that you chose this venue, it is an honor. The core objective of our discussion today that you will see through, or rather these 2 days, is cloud environment that as you see from different perspectives. You have a vendor view, you have a consumer view, you will have an enterprise view, and so on and so forth. I will try to convert that entire set of views into just a single word. What does this give us as an opportunity, and how do you actually make money? Make money as a business person, make money as an CIO, make money as an entrepreneur who wants to go forward with this business line. In Sun Tzu's word, opportunities multiply as they are seized, and I can't overemphasize this word. Throughout the tenor of the session, you will see more and more conversation focused around this activity. The fact is not that whether you will take a step into the cloud world. The fact is, once you've taken that step into the cloud world, what are the next level of opportunities that keep coming in, and thereafter when you take those steps, what are those steps which will add up to value to you? So in terms of business proposition, in terms of money that you do it, where are the opportunities that exist? The opportunities that we talk about from an end perspective comes at an enterprise level, which means that you're running an enterprise and typical CIO/CEO organization who wants his organization to be more effective, more resilient, more environment in terms of how the opportunity of flexibility and agility in the market space. In the business space, how do you go ahead and find new business avenues? How do you make your business line not only effective for your current business statement, current business development? You need to make investments that are protected for your future growth in the business model, the future roadmap in which the enterprise market changes. And at the end of the day, we do all of this activity because we make sure that the investors has an opportunity to make money. The people who are the shareholders, the people who are the stakeholders, they are the people who actually need to make a business decision point. So in terms of an opportunity, there are intangible benefits, there are tangible benefits, and there are specific financial models that we convert into the CapEx into the OpEx environment. Let's go line by line with some of them. This is something that you don't need to see through this, but from a perspective of getting everybody on the same page, you have an infrastructure that is required at a base level, but at the end of the day, this is what you offer to your customers, whether it is internal or external. This is what you get from a perspective of an application administration ability. You have an ability to get a greater flexible system. And to this side, what you see here is an element of whether it is a basic thing like security management or operation management, or even to that extent a billing system. So this is a typical cloud context environment. My friends across the 2 days will take you through various layers of these cloud and how each one of them make an impact. But my discussion topic is not on this. My discussion topic is what are the value benefits that you derive. And we are on the intangibles at this point of time. The value benefit around a desktop environment is not only money, which I will come to that a bit later, but I think the value benefit starts right from a environment in terms of what we do. We can connect anytime, anywhere as an organization, something which we've only been trying to achieve at. It makes your organization more secure, and in the morning sessions, if you were part of the keynote, you heard Eric talk about how Huawei uses our own system, and one of the systems that we use, let me give you a classical example. Within Huawei, the fact is that we don't use just VDI interface. All senior executives, for example, during our period of annual planning session, we get something known as a software VDI. We use, in fact, in the later part of the slide, you will see some part of it. We use something known as a VVDI. It is a virtual network of 20 machines, 30 machines spread across the country of the people who want to be on that network. This particular machine has no connectivity with any part of the world. It has no internet, no printer, no USB, nothing. It's a soft client, but you cannot connect this with anything else. It is there on my machine. It exists from, let's say, September 15th to November 15th. During the period we do our planning session and all. And on November 16th, it just disappears. Because by that point of time, the data has been collected at one location. Only in that location, you cannot copy it down, you cannot take it away. Now that virtual VDI environment that you work within the system is not a leverage of price, it's a leverage of security. It's a leverage of how I can make sure that my entire planning structure. At the same time, there's another layer of network which works on, all of you will know the appraisal system. So managers have a separate VDI environment. That data is not available, possibly not available at all to be done on a non-VDI. Why? Because it's on a separate network. You can't copy, you can't download, you can't print from that. So these are some of the drivers that you get in terms of a secure benefit. It's flexible. Flexible is what I just explained to you, which in terms of it, you have to take the not just the hardware thin client that we talk about even the soft client. You talk about the flexibility of using it on any device. That is the flexibility we talked about in terms of giving the business line. Comprehensive security, whether it starts from one level at a usage control or a conventional security environment. And again, from a perspective of doing, all of you who are here in this forum understand the security component a bit more than other places. So the security component is not just about security firewall and intrusion detection systems and VLANs. It is about processes and procedures. Let me give you a classical example. To do a patch management on a device, or a basic thing like a signature virus updation on your desktop. Now that is something dependent on the number of times. So for example, a machine which is an employee who is away from office for 15 days. The next time, and during that period, there's a strong vulnerability attack that happens on a 0-day patch kind of a thing, and you have not been able to patch because the machine has been switched off. It's never switched on for the 15 days. It will only get switched on after 15 days. For however small period of time, that machine will have a vulnerability. And that, my dear friends, is something that it's a side effect of this business, that you automatically bring that value add into the system. Better experience. This is something which I need to, this is a point which we keep coming across because in the earlier days, when I say earlier days, I mean the last few years, most salespeople have sold whatever in their package as cloud. So if I was selling a screwdriver, I will now sell a screwdriver cloud. If I was selling something, so it has been absolutely misused and abused term. All of us, I will understand what cloud is later, but I must attach the word cloud to my solution. As a consequence, what has happened is that the experience that one gets as a customer, as a consumer, is not necessarily that of high value. It is something which is a second grade. Oh, so cloud is something I save money, all right. So it's okay for me to have a poorer performance. No, it is not okay. The fact that I'm saying here is that from a desktop environment, now whether it's 5 seconds or 10 seconds, the fact remains, because of the design of the cloud, if you do an absolute design of the cloud environment, it will give you better performance ratios as compared to your existing desktops. Why would that happen? That would happen because in the consideration you're creating that machine which doesn't necessarily have to have a medium coming out of your boot from a media environment. You will have a better boot period because it does not allow, in most of your security policy structure, it will not allow the employees to keep loading unwanted things and therefore keeping a lot of things in the memory environment. So from that perspective, the experience per se has to be a better line than compared to the normal one. And these are some of the intangible benefits in a true cloud deployment. Simplification of deployment, again, this is something which is a very common sense. You have an application to which you need to deploy across 36 locations in your country, and a new application deployment on a new machine is a nightmare. Anybody and everybody will know and recall the instances of the Saturday nights that we spend in office because one project has to get deployed. Now this is exactly the reason. This alone can justify the intangible cost that allows you not to spend your team members, not to get your IT members to spend those unnecessary time and hour in the office trying to figure out how do I get into those people who are living somewhere across the globe or across the country for that matter. So this is another area which you have a simplified deployment, a new application, new patch management, new framework. All of this environment happens at a simplistically 2 or 3 environment locations. Okay, if you look at a conventional IT environment, till about 3 years ago, and in my previous life I was selling this kind of a solution for other companies. Till about 3 years ago, all of us were trying to give a dream situation to a CIO which says, hey Mr. CIO, I will give you a dashboard which will allow to give you, which you can figure out exactly how many CPU where is being used. And so, a lot of tools were developed, a lot of integration happened between the infrastructure, hardware, and so on and so forth. Finally, to get a CIO, a partial display of the resources, a partial display of network components, a partial display. So it was a dashboard, all right, but it was still partial and components. Using a cloud environment, that is exactly what you get. It is again a side effect. I can't not give you this. It is inherent. It is built into the system. I have not spent time and energy to do that job. It's there. At one location, at one instance, you can see across my infrastructure deployment, I have got still 35% CPUs unloaded. I myself run a large IT operations, and I know to get that data that will tell me which server over a period of time, which time has been overloaded, underloaded. That data was supposed to be asked. The admin guy took out the data for that period, and then again has to go back and forward. This is something which is online, available, and on any platform that you make it available. Intangible, thin client, soft client, and once again, by virtue of the fact that BOID, as many of you will know, is when you talk about bring your own devices. So most of the corporations are still struggling today. How do I help employees get their own devices and still be part of my network, still be secure, and still I execute everything else? Once again, a natural side effect is not only can you use the thin clients that you exist over here, use soft clients, and which is what example I gave you 5 seconds ago, that you can use soft clients in multiple ways. Using soft client as on top of one another is one layer, is only one of the ways it gives you an efficient, secure system. Mobile devices, most of the cloud, at least the one that we sell, are capable of giving you your client access or your device access on your mobile phones, on your platform. So we have client side access either through Android or iApp or any other similar platform as a large journey factor. What does that help you? The minute you have a cloud infrastructure, the minute you allow the BOID implementation done, as a corporation, this entire pain point goes away and you get that layer on top of it. You're still on the intangibles. This is the side effects. Once again, all of us have been struggling with basic thing like user side disk backup. Without even doing a survey dipstick check, I can tell you about 75% people in this room do not have a user desktop backup mechanism in your premises, in your office. Only 1 in 4 will have at best. That is something even for doing today, you struggle, you set up a new infrastructure, you talk about things that needs to be done, you talk about the bandwidth. This is a given side effect. It's there. Same thing goes with redundant disk storage. We don't even talk about this, but remember, the minute you put a cloud media infrastructure, at the back end, there's a RAID 5 architecture. Your disk does not crash, at least not because of media. If it does crash, there is enough backup and element already built into the system that exists HCL. That's a native benefit. Again, going back to security, all of you who have held the domain of security, you will realize that for doing a vulnerability assessment or threat management from a central location across the country, you need to keep sensors at all locations. Otherwise, you have to drill a hole through the firewall so that it can do the scanning and therefore your session size goes up. None of that is required now. It goes straight away on this element. This is something interesting article I was reading. There's no formal survey on this, but people have done a calculation which says that the fact that I use my desktop, almost 8 to 10% of the CPU goes away in doing backend antivirus signature update, patch management, user ID management, and it goes away during my work hours. That's the important point. The 10% will not go away even in the cloud environment, but that 10% now is available as a disk storage system on my data center. So I can do the entire patch management between 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning where nobody is in the office. Why can't I do it today? Because, oh, today the desktop may be switched off, or the desktop may be somewhere located across and I can't send my IT guide running all across. That's another definite clear cut. Obviously, we talked about CapEx to OpEx. This is something that I would like to appeal to all all CIOs in this room. The desire of a CEO is to convert the IT expense not as a cost factor, but as a percentage of the expense, as a percentage of income, revenue. That's the ideal state, right? If I earn $100, I will give you $1. If I earn $5, I will give you only 5 cents. Ideal world. That's not what it is practical today, but it is the ideal world. That is what people would like to do. In fact, many of the large outsourcing deals, that's exactly how it happens. So, how do you achieve that in today's world? How does a CIO achieve to reach that level? That level is again a side effect of doing a cloud deployment. Once again, intangible. So this is where you become a service provider. This is where you become a public, and that's what I call it as a pseudo cloud, pseudo public cloud. That's what it is, because you are a private cloud, but you want to give, because of the cloud facility that it has a small billing, it has the ability to do business, do provisioning, it has the ability to do dunning. All of this put together, you can be a service provider to your own company. Now, these were the intangibles. We discussed about the virtual VDI network quality, where even using your soft clients, you can have virtual. You have a network of all of these people having their own laptops. Let's continue with that. Even without a single thin client, you can still have a very highly secure VDI deployment, and that doesn't have to be large. So, for example, all of us in this room can have a soft client installed on a machine, so that this group of people, they are working on a research project, that's on that machine. This group of project which is working on something else, that's on that set of machines as a soft client. And these virtual clients don't talk to that, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. That is the that's the benefit that you get in terms of intangible. Now, after doing all of this, I need to take you through the tangibles. Enough said about the intangible part of it. These are all, some of us can measure it, some of it may not be measurable to the benefit part of it. And from that perspective, I've tried to put together a simplistic cost model, very simplistic cost model, and this cost model is for VDI deployment, not for server virtualization. And this cost model is what I'm showing you here in a minute is the output of that spreadsheet, and that's why I left it as a spreadsheet format only. So you can tweak the assumptions to your level, to what you believe is right, and you can get the benefit. You may get 25% saving, you get 55, I don't know. That will be individual to individual corporation. So for example, in terms of assumptions, we've taken some of the assumptions like this. You can, when you look at the spreadsheet, you can check off any one of this and say, hey, this is not the right figure, my figures are only this much. Fair, let's do that. Likewise, whatever you save. So if you convert all of this into a message outside, what does it convert? And this is what you do in terms of a TCO. There's an infrastructure cost, there's an IT hardware cost, there's a services cost, and there's a software cost. I did a small, and you don't have to go through all of this, even may not be visible over there, but the bottom line is the current cost per annum on a 3-year case basis is an X dollars. So you have some expense on infrastructure, you have some expense on the IT hardware that you spend, and something on the services part. I've left the display and network away from it, because I'm assuming that whether you use a desktop or a VDI, those things remain common. I've left the network away from it, because again, those things will remain common. I've even left application layer benefit and operating system benefit, which is not true. It will actually, you will even leverage and get benefit on a VDI. But for the sake of a conservative value point, from the sake of conservative value point, this is what has been left at. So bottom line is, if you compare this, what is the conversion to savings? About 50,000 rupees per desktop on a cost case for 500 years is an no-brainer, 2.5 CR, 2.4 CR. Now this 37% may not be accurate for you, sir. You may only get a cost saving of 1.5 CR. All you need to do is just go back and check and change this. Whatever you get, that's your call. You do it any which way, at the end of the day, you will realize that there is significant savings to be done in this place. So this was internal to business. This is how you optimize your opportunity here. What about the market size? And I've got the gentleman on the flag showing me that only 5 minutes to go, so I'm going to run with this. Standard services, everybody knows, right? That's a business model. I'll just take you some of the examples on this slide as to how in our interaction with people, with business people in the market, how they are finding this as a benefit and how they are offering this as a service. So typically IaaS, SaaS and PaaS, all of us know, right? So you have a software, you want to offer it as a value add, as a rented service, you have infrastructure, virtual machines, data center, virtual, DR services, all that given. Let's talk about some of the specific ones. One of the customers that we are engaging with right now, and he's making a business model, he's a service provider for internet connectivity at a home for an SME. His problem in life is, you know what, my subscribers don't have computer at their home. So how do I get more and more people to adopt internet? His life is to sell internet connectivity. And he is working out on a model, and which is what is effective model, and this is a work in progress right now, is where he says, okay, his customers, he says, take an internet connection, get a PC free. That's his model. And it works. You know, I give it this, if this event was about 8 weeks from now, I would have been able to share, but that's something which is his business, specific business model, so that's where I'm not sharing the names. But it works, the cost effectiveness does make sense. He already has a cable running to your home, so your connectivity in terms of Ethernet connectivity is taken care of. He does everything which he has a common infrastructure, you boot this dabba, chota dabba, everybody has a TV screen which you use as a computer monitor, you buy a 600 rupees keyboard and you're on. You just buy internet connection from me. He went ahead and converted this from his, when he did a pilot kind of a thing, it was so successful, he went ahead and did it as an enterprise. So if you're a small enterprise of let's say 30 people, don't buy desktops, buy internet connection, I'll give you PC free. That's his business model. That's where the money comes from. And his business model makes money. Storage for SME, we know about it. Network video surveillance, another one. A large corporation, small corporation, but today to get a video surveillance deployment done across the globe or across the country is a nightmare. Doing a 5 camera or a 20 camera surveillance is entirely different ballgame than doing a surveillance of 100 cameras or 500 cameras. 20 cameras you can get, you know, security guards sitting and watching, ud ke ja raha kuch bell bajao. The minute you have 1,000 people, 1,000 cameras, the minute you have 1,000 cameras, you need the system to generate those alerts. That is not something an SME can afford, or even a large corporation wants to do it on his playbooks. He would rather want to go to service provider who runs this thing, and I'm a service provider with let's say 20 offices, all I have to say, hey, give me 20 terminal points. That's it. 20 terminal points and 2 monitoring points, and that's what the service will give you. It's a cloud hosted model. It works. Another classic example, hosted telepresence video conference. Same concept. Today, one of the things that Huawei we learn and we sell and we talk and we do around it is to make things simpler. Remove the shaft, get the core. So when I sell telepresence, I do not, obviously if you want as a customer to buy it, sure, but we do not come and say, hey, Mr. Customer, that you should have an entire office put together, curtains. You know, in the olden days, about 10 years ago, when a computer was bought, move, computer coming, open your shoes, then only you can walk in, you know, don't touch it, don't leave the door open. Nothing is that important at this point of time. We have converted this business line, it's a trolley. You don't even have to do an MCU switch, just get it from a hosted service provider, get a small trolley, you can take it to any room. You can, given the bandwidth or connected power, take it to your lobby and have a video conference there. Have a personal video conference over there. So my point is, solution allows you to give you all of those experience over there. So what are the required enablers? At this point of time, we can quickly select, close on it. I have this last slide coming in place. So what do we offer? We offer server, storage, hypervisor, and so on and so forth. So, Mr. Huawei, you know, you were away for last 10 years in enterprise, you are a new kid on the block, only 2 years, and I've got some great friends. I've got somebody who offers huge virtualization software services. I have somebody who has infrastructure hardware services. So why do I buy from you? And some of my friends who are in the, let's say, software business, they provide only software. They do not have the server infrastructure. Some of them who are, I mean, all these software, some of them friends who are there in the hardware business, they provide only the hardware layer. They don't have the software layer. I have removed the last digits because I don't want to give them free advertisement. It's my time. And we are the only people in the company in this part who says that, hey, Mr. Customer, I will stand with you to give you the right from bottom layer to the top layer in terms of cloud management. Oh, and by the way, I am also the only company which runs one of the largest working setup of today, about 30 to 40K. That's my value proposition. That's what we sell, and that's what we use. And just in case you do not know this, last year for 2011, we were the largest patent filers as far as cloud is concerned across the globe. The 7 value points, most of you are already aware of it. We are the largest telecom company. We are the second largest. Many of you will be surprised with this, but this is something new. We are the second largest router vendor by revenue now. We are the second active network in terms of contribution to ITF from the ITF source. We filed number 3. We are the third largest patent filer for the last 2 consecutive years. We have been included in Magic Quadrant. We own about 17,000 patents, and we filed about 49,000 plus, almost 50,000 patents as we speak. I'm sure by now it would have been higher. And some of my research colleagues here have done contribution towards doing that patent part of this stuff. We are the 5th largest Asia Pac. We are the 5th largest server provider, manufacturer. Intel server chips, Intel servers is what we provide. That's what we sell now in India. We started in India late. And we are as per the Forbes, we are the last one in terms of the respected companies. Hadoop protocol, for many of you will know, is as an integral part of collaboration in terms of open source, open world. We are the 7th largest contributor, way ahead of friends in eBay, Twitter, IBM, in terms of what they contribute for this open source. So that was the value point, and that is why you take, I will skip these ones, but some of the friends that we have used these services to make money for themselves. Thank you so much. And my apologies if I skipped the timeline. So any questions, friends? More than delighted and honored to answer any of that's to the best of my ability, I'll try. Does this help make money for you?
Hello, I am Pradipta from IBM. I have a basic question on the payback period or ROI of a VDI solution. In your experience, what's the typical payback period you have seen for a VDI solution? Can you share some thoughts, insights on that?
Sure. Just to give you a quick one, there is no right answer to this because it depends on the size, and also you need to consider what size. And also you need to understand, in real world there is nothing known as greenfield. So if it's a greenfield project, the payback period is a day 1. You are setting up a new office with 500 desktop requirement. On day 1 you will get a cost benefit that is given today. There's one. However, the problem is not the real world has got brownfield, it's got existing system. So what really happens is that depending on customer to customer, who has everybody has his own refresh cycle time period. So if a customer has a 5-year refresh cycle period, in an average year he does only 20% refresh. So I'm making an assumption here. Our strategy is that, hey, don't make payment on that particular basis, make payment based on the refresh that you do. Obviously, you have to keep a basic level of numbers higher. So today, the penetration for larger companies will be easier to deploy because they can leverage the cost benefit. So if it is not less than 500 deployment, it is not going to actually give you that 35% range or 50% range. Actually, I've given a very conservative figure. Any of you and all of you are more than welcome to collect it either from the organizers, from this presentation and the spreadsheet. It's an available public domain stuff. Please play with it. Correct me where it is wrong, contribute and make it better in whichever way. So my point was, the payback period on a brownfield is actually dependent on what you do in terms of technology refresh. If I ask you that throw away all your desktop, even the one which you bought 6 months ago, you're going to not even like my face. So that's the right answer to your question to that.
Hi, this is Suvik from Naviside. The question I have is, at Huawei, do you make a distinction between VDI and desktop as a service, where in DAS you're typically using the public cloud, or is your your solution really only on the private cloud and the VDI solution? Not a
Okay.
DAS?
Did you mean from a perspective of what we use, or do you mean one perspective of what we sell?
From a perspective of what you offer in your service.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yes, very pertinent question, and looking back with that view, I should have covered that part of this business, and you're absolutely correct. When I look at desktop, so the question, if I hear you correctly, was what is it that we as a Huawei offering look at the business line? So the message is loud and clear. Typically, a VDI environment deployment environment that we have seen across is something that you will have to, for a large enterprise, be local private environment. And the reason is not because of my technology or his or her technology. The reason is because of the bandwidth requirement that available. The fundamental VDI requirement, in any of the VDI, if I have to promise you that 10 seconds or whatever timeline, you have to be in a local LAN area network. Otherwise, the minute I put it on an outside of business line, then yes. So what the right answer would be that if I'm an enterprise who's willing to sacrifice my performance, boot up performance, vis-a-vis something which I can host on a website, I will go with that desktop as a service opportunity. But for at least the VDI part, not virtual session, you do need a thick bandwidth client behind you. And that can be on the LAN environment today. Or it can be on a distributed architecture on a WAN, but it still has to be a part of that only.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry guys, really running out of time. And
Alright.
I would like to thank Mr. Sinha
Thank you, team. Thanks for
for
your time.
his insights into this topic. And I'm sure Mr. Sinha will be around. In case
Absolutely.
you have further doubts, you can always contact.
Absolutely. Thank you.